The city was alive with its usual chaos: honking cars, hurried footsteps, and the distant hum of street vendors. Among the crowd walked a man in an expensive tailored suit, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. He was a millionaire, a self-made success, but his sharp eyes carried a weight, a loneliness that no amount of money could erase. As he turned the corner, his gaze fell on a frail woman sitting against a crumbling wall, her clothes worn, her face tired. Two small children clung to her side, their eyes wide with hunger and fear. Something about her struck him deep, an ache of familiarity. Then it hit him. His breath caught in his throat. The woman looked up, and their eyes locked. Time seemed to freeze. Her face, though weathered by hardship, was unmistakable. It was her, the love he had lost 7 years ago. His knees nearly buckled. Is that really you?" he whispered, his voice breaking. The woman's lips trembled. She looked away, shame flooding her features. The children stared at the well-dressed stranger, confused. The millionaire's world spun. How? Why was she here? Begging? With children? His mind raced back to the past, the promises they had made, the love they had shared, and the cruel twist of fate that had torn them apart. He crouched down, ignoring the dirt staining his expensive pants. "Talk to me," he pleaded. "What happened to you?" Tears welled in her eyes as she shook her head. "You shouldn't see me like this," she murmured. Just go." But he couldn't. Not now. Not after all these years. The children, sensing their mother's distress, clutched her tighter. The millionaire's heart shattered. These weren't just any kids, they had his eyes. A cold realization dawned on him. The millionaire's hands trembled as he reached into his pocket, pulling out a thick stack of bills. He pressed it into the woman's hand, but she flinched, as if his touch burned. "Take it," he urged. "Please. For them." He nodded toward the children, who watched silently. She hesitated, torn between pride and desperation. Finally, with a shaky breath, she accepted. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He couldn't walk away now. Not without answers. "Where are you staying?" he asked gently. She avoided his gaze. "Nowhere, just wherever we can." His jaw tightened. The thought of her and the children sleeping on the streets, hungry and cold, was unbearable. "Come with me," he said firmly. Fear flickered in her eyes. "I can't." "Why not?" "Because." Her voice cracked. "You left. You chose your life over us. I won't let you." She stopped herself, glancing at the kids. His stomach twisted. Chose his life over them? What did she mean? Before he could ask, one of the children, a little boy, tugged at his sleeve. "Mister," he said softly, "are you our dad?" The millionaire's heart stopped. The woman gasped. "No, baby, don't." But the damage was done. The question hung in the air, heavy and unavoidable. The millionaire looked at the boy, then at his twin sister. Their faces, their eyes, so much like his own. A wave of emotions crashed over him. Could it be true? He swallowed hard. "How old are they?" he asked quietly. She hesitated before answering. 6. Which meant they were born just a year after he last saw her. His mind raced. Had she been pregnant when they parted? Had she tried to tell him? The pieces were falling into place, and the weight of it crushed him. "Listen to me," he said, his voice low but urgent. "I don't know what happened, but I'm not leaving you like this. Not again. Let me help." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't owe us anything." "It's not about owing," he said. "It's about them." He looked at the children, their innocent eyes filled with confusion. They shouldn't be living like this. She wiped her face, exhaustion and defeat written all over her. "What do you want from me?" "The truth," he said. "And a chance to make things right." The past resurfaces. The millionaire quickly arranged for a nearby hotel suite, insisting they go somewhere safe. The woman, still hesitant, finally agreed when she saw how tired the children were. Inside the warm, clean room, the twins immediately clung to the soft couches, their small hands touching everything as if they couldn't believe it was real. The millionaire ordered food, watching as they ate like they hadn't in days. His chest ached. Once the kids were settled, he turned to her. "Talk to me," he said. "What happened after I left?" She took a deep breath, her fingers twisting in her lap. "You remember that night, don't you? The last time we saw each other?" He nodded. How could he forget? They had argued, he had been offered a huge business opportunity overseas, and she had begged him not to go. But he had been young, ambitious, convinced that success would fix everything. "I left," he admitted. "But I thought you understood. I was going to come back." She laughed bitterly. "You never came back." "I tried," he said, frustration rising. "I called, I sent letters, you disappeared. Because I found out I was pregnant," she burst out, her voice breaking. "And you were gone, living your dream. What was I supposed to do? Chase after you?" The words hit him like a punch. He had no idea. None. "And then?" he asked, dreading the answer. Her shoulders slumped. "My family disowned me. No one wanted a single mother with no money. I tried to work, but with 2 babies, it was impossible. Things got worse, and then," she gestured helplessly around, as if the hotel room itself was proof of how far she had fallen. Guilt gnawed at him. He had built an empire while the woman he once loved and his own children suffered on the streets. The little girl, sensing the tension, walked over and hugged her mother's legs. "Mama, don't cry," she whispered. The millionaire's resolve hardened. He wouldn't fail them again. "Pack whatever you have," he said firmly. "You're coming home with me." She looked up, shocked. "What?" "I'm not asking," he said. "Those are my children too. And I won't let you spend another night out there." For the first time in years, a flicker of hope crossed her face. But fear quickly followed. What if you change your mind again?" He knelt in front of her, his voice steady. "I won't." The little boy tugged at his sleeve again. "Does this mean you're really our dad?" The millionaire pulled both children into a tight hug, his eyes burning. "Yes," he whispered. "And I'm never letting you go." The drive to the millionaire's penthouse was silent except for the soft hum of the car engine. The twins, exhausted from years of hardship and now overwhelmed by the sudden comfort, had fallen asleep almost instantly, their small bodies curled together in the back seat. The woman sat stiffly beside him, her fingers gripping the edge of her tattered coat. She kept her gaze fixed out the window, watching the city lights blur past. He wanted to say something, anything, to ease the tension, but words felt empty after all these years. When they arrived, the doorman's eyes widened slightly at the sight of them, but he said nothing, simply nodding as the millionaire guided his long-lost family inside. The elevator ride up felt endless. The penthouse doors opened to a spacious, immaculate home, cold in its perfection. The woman hesitated at the threshold, as if stepping inside would make this real. "Come in," he said gently. "It's yours now too." She took a shaky breath and crossed into the apartment, her worn shoes silent against the polished marble. The twins stirred as he lifted them carefully, carrying them to the guest room. He tucked them into the plush bed, their small faces peaceful for the first time in what must have been years. When he returned to the living room, she was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring at the city below. "You must hate me," he said quietly. She didn't turn around. I don't have the energy to hate you. That hurt more than anger would have. He moved closer but stopped short of touching her. I didn't know about the kids. If I had. You would have what? She finally turned, her eyes glistening. Come back? Taken responsibility? Or would you have sent money and called it enough? The accusation stung because part of him wondered if she was right. Back then, he had been so focused on success, on proving himself, would he have truly dropped everything for a family he hadn't planned for? I don't know, he admitted. But I'm here now. And I won't walk away again. She studied him for a long moment before sighing. They ask about you, you know. Not directly, but they see other kids with their fathers, and they wonder. His throat tightened. What do you tell them? That their dad is far away. A bitter smile. I didn't have the heart to say you didn't want us. He flinched. I did want you. Both of you. All of you. I just didn't know. Silence settled between them, heavy with years of unsaid words. The first night. He showed her to the master bedroom, but she refused. I'll sleep with the kids, she said firmly. He didn't argue. Instead, he brought her fresh clothes, towels, anything she might need. She accepted them with quiet thanks, still guarded, still unsure of this sudden change in their lives. Alone in his room, he sat on the edge of his bed, head in his hands. The guilt was crushing. All those years, she had struggled while he lived in luxury. His children had gone hungry while he dined in five-star restaurants. His phone buzzed, an email from his assistant about tomorrow's meetings. For the first time in his life, work felt meaningless. He made a decision. Morning realizations. The next morning, he woke early and ordered breakfast, pancakes, fruit, anything the kids might like. When they emerged from their room, their eyes widened at the spread on the table. Is this all for us? The little girl whispered. His heart shattered. Yes, baby. As much as you want. They ate like they'd never seen food before, and he had to force himself not to react, not to let them see how much it hurt him to witness. The woman, his love, the mother of his children, watched him carefully over her coffee. You're really doing this, she murmured. I am. What about your work? Your life? It can wait. She shook her head. They need more than just a few days of your attention. They need you. Forever. He reached across the table, slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he covered her hand with his. I know. The little boy grinned, syrup smeared on his cheeks. Does this mean we live here now? The millionaire looked at their hopeful faces, then at the woman who had suffered so much alone. Yes, he said firmly. This is your home now. But as the woman met his gaze, he saw the unspoken fear still there, the fear that this was all temporary, that he would wake up one day and change his mind. He squeezed her hand gently. I'll prove it to you, he thought. However long it takes. The first week passed in a blur of adjustments. The twins, though initially shy, began exploring their new home with growing excitement, their laughter echoing through halls that had been silent for too long. But the woman remained hesitant, always watching, waiting for the other shoe to drop. One evening, as the millionaire helped the little girl with her homework, she looked up at him with wide eyes. Papa, do you have a swimming pool? He smiled. Yes, actually. Would you like to see it? The twins erupted in cheers, but their mother tensed. They don't have swimsuits, she said quickly. That's an easy fix, he replied, already pulling out his phone. Within an hour, a delivery arrived with everything they could need, tiny swim trunks, frilly little suits, even floaties shaped like unicorns. The woman stared at the pile of packages. You just bought all this? He shrugged. I want them to have everything they missed. Her jaw tightened. Money doesn't fix everything. I know, he said softly. But it can give them a childhood. The first test. Things came to a head when the millionaire announced he'd hired a private tutor for the twins. They need to catch up educationally, he explained over dinner. The tutor starts Monday. The woman set her fork down carefully. You didn't ask me. The table went quiet. The twins glanced between them, sensing the tension. I thought you'd be relieved, he said carefully. I'm their mother, she said, voice trembling. Not some employee you can make decisions around. He hadn't considered that. In his world, problems were solved by throwing money at them. He hadn't realized she might see it as taking control. You're right, he admitted. I should have asked. But I want to help. She took a shaky breath. Then help by including me. It was the first real argument in their new arrangement, but not the last. Facing the outside world. Going public was inevitable. Paparazzi snapped photos when they went out for ice cream. Millionaire's secret family, the headline screamed. The woman panicked when she saw the news. They're making it sound like I hid them from you. He immediately called his PR team. Fix this, he demanded. No interviews, no speculation. Just a simple statement that we're reuniting as a family. But the damage was done. Online comments were brutal. Gold digger alert. Those kids look nothing like him. Bet she waited until he was rich to show up. That night, he found her crying in the walk-in closet. I can't do this, she whispered. They're making me sound like some. He knelt beside her. Ignore them. None of it matters. It matters to me, she snapped. I struggled alone for years, and now people think I'm some schemer. He had no answer. This was the dark side of his world, one she'd never asked to enter. The first real conversation. It happened at 3 a.m., when the twins were asleep and the city lights glowed outside. She found him in the kitchen, staring at a glass of water he wasn't drinking. We can't keep doing this, she said quietly. His heart stopped. Doing what? Pretending this is normal. She leaned against the counter. You and me, we're strangers now. The kids are confused. The whole world is watching. He set the glass down. What do you want to do? I don't know, she admitted. But we need to decide, are we trying to be a family? Or are we just giving the kids a comfortable life while we play pretend? The question hung between them. He thought of the past weeks, how natural it felt to read bedtime stories, how his heart swelled when the little girl called him Papa. But also how carefully the woman still kept her distance, how she flinched sometimes when he moved too suddenly. I want to try, he said finally. Properly try. If you'll let me. She studied his face for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. A turning point. The next morning, he canceled all his meetings. We're having a family day, he announced. They went to the zoo, just the four of them. No bodyguards, no photographers, he'd pulled strings to arrange a private visit. The twins raced from exhibit to exhibit, their joy infectious. At the lion enclosure, the little boy grabbed his hand without thinking. Papa, look how big he is. The millionaire froze. It was the first time the boy had called him that unprompted. He glanced at the woman. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but she was smiling. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. The millionaire woke before dawn, his mind racing. Today was the twins' first day at their new school, an elite academy where the children of diplomats and CEOs learned multiple languages before they could tie their shoes properly. He'd pulled every string to get them admitted mid-semester, but now doubts crept in. Will they fit in? He wondered, staring at the ceiling. Or will the other kids sense they don't belong? Next to him, the woman stirred. She'd started sharing his bed 2 weeks ago, not romantically, just sleeping side by side like exhausted soldiers in some unspoken truce. "You're thinking too loud," she mumbled into her pillow. He smiled. "The school. I know." She sat up, rubbing her eyes. "We'll take it one day at a time." First day jitters. The twins stood stiff in their crisp uniforms, looking more like tiny business executives than first graders. The little girl clutched her mother's hand as they walked through the gated entrance. "Remember," the millionaire crouched to their level, "if anyone gives you trouble, tell the teacher, not the paparazzi," the boy finished, parroting their earlier conversation. The woman shot him a look. "That's not funny." But the twins giggled, breaking the tension. Inside the gleaming lobby, the headmistress greeted them warmly, too warmly. Her eyes kept darting to the millionaire, calculating. He hated that look. "Your children will be in excellent hands," the headmistress purred. "Though they may need extra help catching up." The woman's grip on her daughter's shoulder tightened. "They're very bright." "Of course. They'll do fine," the millionaire cut in, his tone leaving no room for argument. The aftermath. That evening, the twins burst through the door chattering about their day. The boy had made a friend who liked dinosaurs too, the girl had been praised for her math skills. The millionaire exhaled in relief. But the woman was quiet through dinner, pushing food around her plate. Later, in their bedroom, she finally spoke. That headmistress looked at them like they were charity cases. He sat beside her on the bed. "People will judge. But the twins don't see it yet, that's what matters." "For how long?" Her voice cracked. "One day they'll realize the world thinks their mother's some street rat who got lucky." He turned her face toward his. "You're the strongest person I know. And our kids will know it too." For the first time in weeks, she leaned into his touch. The box in the closet. The millionaire found it by accident while searching for extra blankets, a battered shoebox tucked behind her few belongings. Inside were hospital bracelets from the twins' birth, a worn ultrasound photo, and beneath it all, his own handwriting. Letters. Dozens of them, all unopened. His stomach dropped. He recognized the envelopes. He'd sent these during his first year abroad, before he stopped trying. "Why?" he whispered when he confronted her that night. She paled seeing the box in his hands. "My brother," he intercepted them. "Told me you wanted nothing to do with us." The pieces clicked. Her brother had always disapproved of their relationship. "You believed him?" Her eyes flashed. "You left. What was I supposed to think when you never came back?" The millionaire sank onto the bed, the weight of their misunderstanding crushing him. All those years apart, because of lies and missed chances. Confrontation. He tracked down her brother the next day, finding him working at a rundown auto shop. The man didn't even look surprised. "Took you long enough." Rage burned in the millionaire's throat. "You stole 7 years from us." Her brother wiped grease from his hands. "You would have left anyway. I just sped it up." Something primal took over. The millionaire grabbed the man's collar, then stopped. "Violence wouldn't fix this. You're banned from seeing them," he said coldly. "All of them." Her brother laughed. "You think she'll choose you over family?" The millionaire had wondered the same thing. The choice. She cried when he told her. "He's still my brother. And I'm the father of your children," he said gently. "Where does that leave us?" The twins chose that moment to burr in, oblivious to the tension. "Papa. We made you something." It was a macaroni portrait, crude but earnest. For stick figures holding hands beneath a lopsided sun. The woman met his eyes over their heads. In that moment, something wordless passed between them, understanding, forgiveness, maybe even the beginnings of love again. She reached for his hand. He held on tight. The penthouse elevator dinged at 7:03 a.m., an ungodly hour for visitors. The millionaire, already dressed for an early investor meeting, frowned at the security monitor, and froze. His mother stood in the foyer, impeccably dressed as always, inspecting a modern art sculpture like it offended her. No warning. No call. Classic. He took a steadying breath before opening the door. Mother. Darling. She air-kissed his cheeks, her perfume overwhelming. I was in the city for the Met Gala and thought I'd finally meet these children everyone's whispering about. His stomach twisted. Of course she'd seen the tabloids. They're sleeping, he said firmly. And their mother. Is this her? His mother plucked a framed photo from the console table, one taken just days ago, the four of them at the twins' school play. Her manicured finger tapped the glass. She looks tired. A door creaked open down the hall. The woman stood there, barefoot in sleep shorts and one of his old t-shirts, the twins peeking from behind her legs. Silence stretched. The millionaire moved quickly. Kids, this is your grandmother. His mother's smile didn't reach her eyes. Charmed. Breakfast warfare. The meal passed with agonizing politeness. The twins, usually chatty, sat unnaturally still, sensing the tension. So, his mother dabbed her lips with a linen napkin. Where exactly did you two reconnect? The woman's knuckles whitened around her coffee cup. On Fifth Avenue. How urban. The little girl suddenly spoke up. Grandma, do you like pancakes? Daddy makes them with chocolate chips. His mother blinked. Daddy? The millionaire saw the trap too late. His mother didn't know, couldn't have known, that the twins were biologically his. The tabloids had speculated, but he'd never confirmed. His mother's gaze locked onto the twins with new intensity. Let me see your hands. Confused, the children extended them. His mother studied their fingernails, their wrists, searching for family traits. Her breath hitched. Oh my God. She looked at him, horrified. They're yours. The aftermath. His mother demanded a private conversation on the terrace. Cold wind whipped around them as she lit a cigarette with shaking hands. 7 years? Her voice was dangerously quiet. You fathered children and abandoned them? The irony wasn't lost on him. I didn't know. Bullshit. She exhaled smoke sharply. I raised you better. Our name means nothing compared to them. He gestured inside, where the woman was helping the twins clear plates. They're my family. His mother studied him like a stranger. You've gone soft. Maybe. He met her gaze unflinchingly. But I'm finally happy. She stubbed out her cigarette. We'll discuss this later. The woman's fear. He found her pacing their bedroom. She hates me. No, he sighed. She hates not being in control. The woman hugged herself. She'll take them from me. A woman like that. Hey. He cupped her face. No one is taking our children. But doubt lingered in her eyes. That night, she slept curled protectively around the twins' small forms. The offer. His mother cornered the woman alone the next morning. The millionaire only caught the tail end as he entered the kitchen. Would set you up very comfortably, his mother was saying, sliding a check across the marble counter. The woman laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. You think I want your money? His mother's smile turned icy. Everyone wants something, dear. The millionaire stepped between them. Enough. His mother arched a brow. I'm trying to help. By bribing the mother of my children? His voice shook with rage. Leave. Now. For the first time in his life, his mother looked uncertain. She left without another word, her expensive heels clicking like gunshots. The reckoning. The woman was quiet for hours afterward. That evening, as they put the twins to bed, the little boy asked, "Is Grandma mad at us?" The millionaire smoothed his hair. "No, buddy. Grown-ups just forget how to be kind sometimes." Later, in bed, the woman finally spoke. She was right about one thing. He turned to her. I do want something." She met his gaze. "I want us to be a real family. Not just for the kids." His heart pounded. "What are you saying?" She leaned in, her lips brushing his, the first real kiss in 7 years. When they pulled apart, she whispered, "I choose you." Again. The first cough seemed harmless. The little girl had been giggling during a pillow fight when she suddenly doubled over, a harsh barking sound tearing from her throat. The millionaire froze mid-laugh, the playful mood shattered. "It's nothing," the woman said quickly, rubbing their daughter's back. "Just a cold." But that night, the millionaire lay awake listening to the cough continue through the thin walls. Each raspy breath twisted his gut tighter. By morning, the girl's cheeks were flushed crimson. The doctor's visit. The pediatrician's office was all soft colors and cheerful murals, doing little to ease the millionaire's nerves. He'd never done this before, never waited anxiously while a professional examined his child. "High fever," the doctor murmured, pressing the stethoscope to the small back. "Labored breathing." The woman clutched his hand, their first public show of unity since reuniting. The doctor's frown deepened. "I'd like to run some tests." The diagnosis. Pneumonia. The word hit like a physical blow. "We'll need to hospitalize her." The millionaire's mind raced. How? The penthouse was pristine, the children ate organic meals prepared by a private chef. Then he remembered, the weeks before he found them. Sleeping on damp streets. Irregular meals. Bodies weakened by hardship. Guilt tasted like bile in his throat. Hospital vigil. The pediatric ward was painfully bright. Their daughter looked tiny in the sterile bed, an oxygen tube under her nose, for taped to her small hand. The woman hadn't left her side for 12 hours. "You should take our son home," she said without looking up. The millionaire shook his head. "I'm not leaving either of you." He arranged for their son to stay with his most trusted assistant, the first time the twins had been separated since birth. The first fight. It happened at 3 a.m. in the harsh hospital hallway. "You're smothering her," the woman snapped as he adjusted their daughter's blankets for the third time. He bristled. "I'm caring for my child. She needs rest, not you hovering like," she cut herself off, but he heard the unspoken "like you did this before." The accusation hung between them. He'd failed them once by not being there. Now he was failing by being too present. The revelation. On the second night, the doctor pulled them aside. "There's something else." The millionaire's blood ran cold. "Scarring in her lungs," the doctor continued. "From previous untreated respiratory infections. It suggests prolonged exposure to poor living conditions." The woman made a small, broken sound. The millionaire could only stare at his daughter's frail form, realizing with terrible clarity, this illness wasn't just bad luck. It was the physical manifestation of every day he hadn't been there. The breaking point. The woman collapsed into his arms in the hospital chapel, sobbing. "This is my fault." "No." He held her tighter. "Mine." She shook her head violently. "I should have fought harder to find you." "Should've." "Shoo." He pressed his lips to her hair. "We can't change the past. Only now." For the first time, they cried together, not as the wealthy businessman and the struggling mother, but as two parents terrified of losing their child. The turnaround. On day 5, the fever broke. Their daughter blinked up at them, groggy but aware. "Mama? Papa?" The woman burst into fresh tears. The millionaire could only press his forehead to his daughter's small hand, his entire body trembling with relief. When the doctor confirmed she'd recover fully, the millionaire made a silent vow: no more half measures. No more regrets. Coming home. Their son barreled into them the moment they returned, nearly knocking his sister over in his excitement. "You're back." The millionaire scooped him up, breathing in the familiar scent of childhood. "Missed you, buddy." That night, as they all piled into the master bed, a tangle of limbs and shared warmth, the woman laced her fingers with his. "We got lucky," she whispered. He kissed her knuckles. "We'll do better." Outside, the city lights twinkled indifferently. But inside, something fragile had finally solidified. The penthouse felt different when the millionaire woke. Sunlight streamed through the windows, catching dust motes that danced like tiny stars. For the first time in months, his chest didn't tighten with the weight of unsaid words and lingering guilt. The woman was already awake, sitting cross-legged on their bed with her laptop. She turned the screen toward him, a real estate listing showing a modest 2-story house with a sprawling backyard. "I was thinking," she said carefully, "maybe we don't belong in a penthouse." He studied the photo, the tire swing hanging from an oak tree, the flower boxes under the windows. A real home. His throat tightened. "I'll call the agent today." Letting go. Packing up the penthouse took weeks. The twins raced through empty rooms, their laughter echoing off bare walls as they played hide-and-seek in what was once a cold, perfect space. The woman paused while wrapping kitchenware, holding up a chipped mug. "Remember this?" He did. A cheap thing from their college days, somehow surviving 7 years in her possession. He took it from her gently. "It's coming with us." She smiled, that real, full smile he hadn't seen since they were kids. Obviously. The new house. Moving day dawned bright and clear. The twins shrieked with joy when they saw their new rooms, paint colors they'd chosen themselves, spaces that felt theirs in a way the penthouse never had. That night, they built a fort in the living room with sheets and couch cushions. The millionaire lay squished between his son and daughter, listening to their breathing even out as they fell asleep. The woman curled against his side. "You're really doing this," she murmured. "Giving up your—" "I'm gaining everything," he corrected. The announcement. His business partners thought he'd lost his mind. "You're stepping back now?" His COO gaped at him across the boardroom. "The IPO is 6 months away." The millionaire slid his resignation letter across the table. "Promote Jessica. She's ready." Later, as he cleared out his office, his assistant hesitated in the doorway. "Sir, are you sure?" He looked at the family photo already placed in his box, the 4 of them at the twins' last school play, their faces alight with joy. Never been more sure of anything. The first day. He drove the twins to school in their new neighborhood, windows down, singing along badly to the radio. Other parents waved as they pulled into the drop-off line, normal people who didn't care about his net worth. "Bye, Papa." The twins kissed his cheeks before scampering off to friends. When he returned home, the woman was planting flowers in the front yard, dirt smudged on her nose. He knelt beside her, pressing a kiss to the same spot. "Welcome to your new life," she teased. He grinned. "Best decision I ever made." The wedding. They married in their backyard under that old oak tree, surrounded by neighbors and a few carefully chosen old friends. No media. No fanfare. Just their children giggling as they exchanged simple silver bands. When the justice of the peace pronounced them husband and wife, the twins tackled them in a group hug. The millionaire, no, just a man now, just a husband and father, felt something slot into place in his chest. Later, as fireflies danced around them, his wife leaned her head on his shoulder. Never thought we'd get here. He laced their fingers together, noting how perfectly they still fit. We took the long way home. The letter. His mother's note arrived on embossed stationery. I don't understand your choices. But I've never seen you so at peace. Perhaps there are things money cannot buy. He framed it and hung it in the hallway, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Some bridges could be rebuilt, if only plank by shaky plank. The ordinary miracle. Years later, when the twins were gangly teenagers and gray streaked his temples, the man would sometimes pause on his way to take out the trash. He'd stand in the driveway, listening to the sounds of his family through the open windows, his wife singing off-key in the kitchen, their son's loud video game commentary, their daughter's exasperated protests. And he'd smile, thinking of that chance encounter on a dirty street corner that led him here, to this ordinary, miraculous life. No fortunes had been made in those intervening years. No headlines written. But every morning, he woke rich beyond measure.